Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. It is my pleasure to work with modern chess, and especially I like such a type of topic when we should be the active side. Today we'll start with the end games. I believe all of you heard about the active defense hold, passive defense lose. But that's always tough questions because in general, guys, active defense, that's mean we lose some material and we improve our pieces. That is connected with active defense. Otherwise, if we're stuck, guys, to not lose some material, this is passive defense. But by definition, no one like to lose material. Yeah, that's why it's a very difficult and tough decision when to go to active defense. When is the right moment to sacrifice material to improve own pieces? Okay, I like to start with one complicated endgame, and that will be the first questions for tonight. What you gonna play for black? But before to play for black, you can see that white has huge pressure. They has more advanced pawns. Guys, in the end game, that's very important. Why? Because we like to create a pass pawn and to promote a queen. Yeah, nothing really else in the end game. And also, this bishop is pretty powerful. White likes to push b5 to eventually open the b file, and then they could penetrate. So the question is how black can try to get some active defense. What do you think? It's black to move. What you play for black? Guys, be more decisive because I prepared more than 20 examples. I know we can't go over all of them, but at least I hope we can try maybe 15 at least, but kind of we are very short of time. And I like to show most of them. Okay, Frederick, sounds good, very good. And what next after the most obvious reply? Okay, guys, bravo, Kerry. Let's give chance to somebody else and then we can continue. I decided, guys, to start with this because later I will go more like rook endgame, pawn endgame, queen endgame, more specific, which are more common. Multi-piece endgames are not so common and they're much more complicated. Okay, guys, okay. So, guys, yes, very good. So here, black played a very good move, maybe the best one, e5. For example, if you go some passive defense, you can see nothing really good could happen. White will has time to improve something in this way, yeah. And white will double the rooks later and will take to c6 and attack that pawn or penetrate on the 7 rank. So e5, very good decision by black, by Andreikin. And guys, such a moves are difficult to calculate. That is the most difficult part of chess game, guys. Because most of the time when we lose a material, we don't see the final results. Otherwise, opponent blunder if we can see the final result. Even guys, if you attack, you sacrifice something, you compromise the king, you can't really see the final result immediately. But you have to evaluate. And usually, guys, this is the point. Now, we lock the opponent's bishop. We eventually like to bring the king into the battle to limit the opponent bishop. And like that, we're also getting a counterplay on the pawn on b4. Eventually, if we take, and the pawn can become a target for us. So that's why white took, because also they win a pawn. But you can see that black achieved a lot. They lose a pawn. Yes, we lose some material, but we have open file. We like to improve all pieces. The bishop looks blocked. The king can come here front of the pawn. And most important, b5 is not so dangerous anymore because the pawn of c5 now it's potentially target for the black dark square bishop. So very good decision. So how you see, guys, you can't see the final results, but this is the active defense. Instead of to go passive and to keep our pieces defending, we like to make them attacking pieces. This is the active defense generally in chess game. So far everything normal, and white trying to improve their pieces too, and black went again for another sacrifice. I like this decision. That's very connected with previous play to open the file and to penetrate. So black are following their idea. So you can see black achieve it a lot. They lose 2 pawns, but more or less all black pieces now are active. Both rooks working very well. King blocking the opponent pass pawn and eventually attacking, making the bishop and a rook defenders. And bishop is also attacking the pawns on the dark square. So white went for b5. Of course, white can go passive, guys, but you can see black simply will increase pressure. So that's why white are trying to also improve their pieces. Now the battle is going nice. The idea is to prevent bishop f4 or rook f4, so black can try rook f8. So how you see all the time, since the beginning of the example, black are going with active moves all the time. Nice decision. King looks almost stuck later with g4, h4. Why also black pushing the pawns, guys? Why they don't go immediately check? Who can try to guess why black was in a rush to play g5 and h5? Can somebody tell me what is the reason? Okay, guys, in any endgame, we like to push pawns to be more close to promotion, because sooner or later, guys, we like to create a pass pawn. And once we create a pass pawn, our pawns will be close to promotion. He kind of combined, not really to create a mating net. We can't really deliver checkmate in the endgame. That's very rare, especially when king gets into the middle. But the main idea is he likes to eventually win the pawn on g2 and to create pass pawn, but he advanced the pawns in advance. Maybe we'll get a race because kind of white already has 1 pass pawn. So we need to get a counterplay. Guys, remember, in any endgame, we should try to get pass pawn sooner or later. And what else? Active king. Don't forget, active king. In the endgame, we are not talking about king safety, guys. Okay, so white trading the active rook, otherwise g4 was a threat with the idea rook g2. And now checkmate in 1 move. Nice decision. The idea of this decision is white king can become active, supporting the pass pawn. And more or less, you can see black are very active now. And soon they agree draw because position is pretty, and they made a repetition here. So how you see, black found a way to improve the pieces in excellent way. And at the same time, they restrict this bishop. Yeah, you can see still the bishop is better. And remember, guys, in the endgame, always try to advance the pawns, because sooner or later, guys, you will go in active defense. You're gonna try to go in active defense sooner or later. And it's good the pawns to be more advanced, because that is our hope offer, yeah, to create a pass pawn and eventually promote a queen. So that was like multi-piece endgame. And I like to go another multi-piece endgame very briefly again. Very famous game, by the way, when I was young. Sorry, I opened the wrong game. Why famous? Because was played in the Olympiad between Sabo and Botvinnik. So this is the position, and the game, guys, was a journey. That time, long time ago, like 50, 60 years ago, there still was not engines, not laptops, and the game was adjourned for next day. And here, black found one fantastic idea to fold the game. I will give you some chance, black to move. Can you find some idea how black can fold? If you use the engine, guys, believe me, engine will give that white are completely winning something like +5 in the line to what happened in the game. So I will give you some chance. Okay. Guys, very complicated. When we have multi-piece endgame, it's always complicated. Okay, I will give you a hint. Generally, guys, if you study endgames, and you have to study endgame, they are the most important part of the chess game. You should start from all theoretical drawing endgames. Why? Because when you are the defending side, you have one idea. I know this endgame is draw. Can I reach to that one? If you're the better side, you are trying to avoid the theoretical drawing endgames. Don't forget this. That's why if you study any type of endgames, first, guys, learn and study the old theoretical drawing endgame. So here, basically, black entered to theoretical drawing endgame. I will ask you later, do you know that it's a theoretical draw? It's a, usually you don't study this type of endgame. And I hope you'll be honest. And you're gonna tell me, so guys, very strong move. According to engine, it's not so strong because you're going to see why. This is pretty forcing, yeah? The threat, it's, you can see the pin to attack the knight, so king has to move away. Forcing moves, you have to take the pawn. No, sorry, if you take the pawn, king f6 easy draw, you have to check. The line is pretty forcing, guys. I checked with the engine, it's absolutely forcing line. And engine thinks that black are winning. So, guys, why black decided to go to this endgame and engine thinks white are completely winning, but basically this is theoretical draw. So I like to ask, how many of you know that this is a theoretical draw? To be honest, I learned that this is theoretical draw. Maybe I was already 24, 25. I don't remember. Filia rating. Yeah, very strong. Before that, I didn't know that this could be theoretical draw game. Okay, thank you. So I was able to show that's, guys, theoretical draw game. And that's why, guys, it's a good to know all theoretical draw game because they are giving you idea eventually how you can defend. You know, oh, I know this is a draw. I know how to make it without thinking. Can I reach to there? Only one answer, don't. You know or you don't know. So the truth is, when we study this endgame, we study without this power. That's it's a draw. So we don't care. I will just show you. There is only one small trick you have to remember in this theoretical draw endgame. Yes, that's true, but we have the pawn. You cannot win this pawn. And if the pawn is not on f6, guys, any other square is the pawn, the endgame is winning. So the trick is that this king cannot really support the pass pawn, and you're going to see now how the game continues. I will come back, check, takes. But there is one trick later. I will show you. So we don't care about pawn. This is the theoretical position. So how you see once kings, if king's coming up, yeah, you can see we just check. So no progress. That is the whole trick. But if the pawn is not on f6, if the pawn is f5, then king f6 is winning. Don't go here. You're going to lose because king here and no check. Just to be careful. You should not allow the king to working together with the rook. To let the black king move away. So how you see here all the time, keep the bishop to be able to check the king. So they try, and finally we will reach, in one moment, will come this situation. He's going to play f7, no other try. So now black to move. What you play for black? This move lose, Frederick, because rook attack the bishop, rook h2. Bravo, Vladimir. I am Vladimir, by the way, too. Thank you. Bravo, Jamie. Jamie, do you know this endgame? Jim. Okay, guys, this move lose because of this. Attack the bishop, and in any move, king f6 and game is over. That is the whole trick, guys. This move lose because of king f6. And you're losing the bishop. In all cases, you're losing the bishop, yeah? That clear now? So that's why this is the last trick you have to know. We don't take the pawn immediately. We're taking later the pawn. King e7, and be careful. You see, he's tricky. Don't be greedy. Check here. Bishop c4, and no way now to make progress. This is a draw. So how you see, even if you know that it's a draw, you still need to know later how to make the draw. There are still some tricks coming on the way. And White tried everything, but the former world champion would win it. That's why he was the former world champion. He knew very well, and he couldn't make mistake. So guys, how you see, it's very good to know theoretical draw endgame. And that is helping you eventually to know what is active defense. Why it's active? Because we entering with material less in theoretical draw endgame. So how you see, if you check with the engine give all the time +5, +4, +5, because engine doesn't know. Okay, let's go next. Another game. Very sorry, why is never opening the game? And then I'm going to this one. Okay, so this game was played by one of my students a few years ago, and he reached this position. He was kind of happy he's with black pieces, but this is guys theoretical draw game. Again, exactly the same like previous example. He didn't know that time. They had rooks, queens. He alone entered here, and he learned in the difficult way, kind of, that this is a theoretical draw. So black are trying everything correct, but it's easy draw because pawn is on the light square, bishop is on the dark. I will just go quickly to the last position. So white has to try, kind of white try. Sorry, black I mean. And this is the key move. Don't allow king g3, yeah? So bishop here, never pin, because you'll be too smart. f3, and you're going to lose a bishop. You see, bishop have to cover there. And this is the trick again, f3. What you play here for white? Against coming the critical position. You see, it's much easier if you don't have this power, yeah? Kind of. No. That's move losing. Rook h1 check, and king take g3. Guys, I mentioned it's much easier. Not Jamie, bishop. You have to let him. Guys, bishop g1, you let him to take. If he takes with pawn, it's the same. Next, we're going to take the pawn. No way. Wait, what I did wrong? No, this is just draw, yeah? We don't really care. Yeah, it's a draw. So, bishop g1 here, and now this is a theoretical draw. They play another 40 moves, and it's a draw. Just, again, I will repeat, you have to be careful when opponent play this move, what you have to play here. When he suck a pawn on one or another way, this is exactly the same like previous. Everybody should answer, guys. Yes, Jamie. Everybody. Yes, Vladimir. Zdravo, Vladimir. Yes, Jim. Guys, everybody, it's easy. I mean, 2 minutes ago, we had the same position, just with a reverse column, maybe. Or yes, guys, you never take the pawn immediately. Remember, don't let the king. Thank you, Borg. Good to see you after so much time, yeah, for a while. Okay, yeah, don't take, guys. Remember, don't let the king works together with the bishop, yeah. If you take king f3 wins the game because now king works together with the bishop. You can see you just move the bishop, check, and you're losing the bishop. You see, guys, it's very good to know theoretical Droyschen game. Okay, yeah, good to see you, Bob. So now I was very fast because that's a more rare. They don't happen so often, especially in your level. You don't really know the same games, and even if you reach, you'll avoid it. But still, it's good to know, and I wanted to show it. So now I like to go with some more basic. I really like some. I told you, queen endgame, pawn endgame, rook endgame. I kind of have different one. So guys, this is game between China and USA in some team competition. So with white pieces, it's the current world champion, Dean Clearen. So he's pushing hard, but kind of he has, you can see. Yeah, check, check, check. So only way to avoid eventually draw with white pieces because white has extra power is to run away. Don't forget, in the end games, we're trying to improve the king all the time. So white are pushing. Okay, white are pushing. So now it's coming the first question. Black has a choice. What to play for black? Sorry, black to move. How you gonna defend for black? Guys, you losing on time, yeah? We are short of time. How you play for black? Okay, easy question. You take the pawn, we check or you doing something else, yeah? Not so much choice. Anyway. Guys, you are calculating. If you calculate, you're going to blunder. In the end game, you have to know. Guys, this is the difference between title players and players like you. You are trying to calculate because you don't know. But when you calculate, that's usually leading to mistakes. More we calculate, guys, more mistakes happen. Okay, I will explain you how this active defense works in the end games. Now, more simple end games, not multi-piece end games. Okay, so far everybody likes to take the pawn. What about others? Okay, guys, now I will show you the game very briefly and I will come back to this position because that is critical position to understand. I know black was very short of time and they played very fast. That was team competition. I was watching the game broadcasted. So he took. Just to know this is decisive mistake. We'll come back later. I will just show you the game briefly. And soon black give up because white pawn is much better. You see, white few moves ago, white has extra pawn. Now white has pawn less, but they has extra queen. Kind of they're going to promote a pawn. So, and game is over because white king, guys, white king support eventually the pass pawn with king b6 if necessary. And here black give up. So, guys, remember in the end game, guys, okay, Jamie, thank you. I will come back. In the end game, guys, remember we are talking again about active king. Usually in every endgame, guys, to promote a queen, let's say you have a pass pawn, you are the better side. To promote a queen, the king has to support the pass pawn. Usually we can't promote a queen without the pass pawn to be supported by the king. So automatically, guys, if you're the defending side, you shouldn't allow opponent to support his pass pawn with the king. And you can see this is the dangerous pass pawn potentially, and this one here, they are most close to promotion. And the way we can preventing this king to penetrate is just, let's say, instead of king f3, mistake king f7. Why? Because if he likes to improve the king, we're simply going for checkmate. So he can't improve the king. Like that, we are keeping white pieces passive, guys. White king is now passive. Remember, in the endgames, king, the value of the king increases a lot. We're not talking about king safety. You have to understand this. We're talking about king activity and pass pawn in the endgame. This is, in any endgame, the most important factors. King activity and pass pawn. So now white can't improve the king. Most obvious move is this. Sorry, to take the pawn. But now black king is active, and now black has a choice to go this. Now king is active, but let's say we also had very dangerous pass pawn, and the chances are about equal. Or you can now take here, and similar idea, maybe take, attacking this guy, and still black king is active now. White will not promote, eventually we check, and black will get also a dangerous pass pawn. So that is eventually, guys, the active defense. You see, don't let opponent to penetrate with the king and improve all pieces. That's why king f7 was the only move holding here. So why I started with this game? Because here with black pieces, guys, was Shankland. You see, he was greedy and he lost. And next year, that was the World Team Championship. Next year, he played in the Olympiad again for the USA team, and he reached this game. Sorry, why I always open the wrong one? Okay, this said, my mouse is jumping around. Okay, so he reached this position, Shankland gets with white, and he won the endgame in 2 minutes. He was just blitzing. I watched the game, broadcasted. I was at home watching online. What made me to think that he really studied the queen endgame was he lost that game versus Vladimir. So here, I will show the game very quickly, okay, and then we'll come back to this position. So here, just look how white played, how white won the game. Basically, white was all the time trying to improve the king. And once they improve the king penetrate, game is over. Next, either we trade queen, either queen, this. So I told you he won the game in 2 minutes. His time 2 minutes. His opponent was spending more time, but he was just blitzing. Remember, king activity in any endgames, okay? So now we come back, we are the defending side. How we have to think eventually to fold this endgame? But then you're going to tell me why all the time he's showing us endgame. No, they cannot fold. I will show also when they can fold. But kind of it's interesting to see mistakes, how we will solve. Instead of king f8, guys, how we can fold that? What black should play to fold? Okay, I will go. The most obvious move is this. Ancient think this is the best. Just to know, because now the king cannot really penetrate. Queen block the king. But let's say that's difficult move from human point. This is very easy move, take. And here, how black should fold? That is the question. I already told you what we have to do when we are the better side and what we have to do when we are the defending side. What does mean active defense in such a type of position? You saw what I did to win the game, yes? Okay, Jan, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but that is the right move. Very good. And after king g5, what happened? Tell me. Okay, Jamie, very well. Let's give chance for more players. And this is the last endgame for queen endgames. I told you I like to give you more different type of endgames. That's why a little bit I'm rushing. I like to show you more examples. So basically, guys, the active defense in most of the endgame is not only to improve home pieces, but the idea of improving home pieces is to limit opponent pieces, to restrict opponent pieces from, let's say, creating a pass pawn or supporting the pass pawn or penetration. You understand? This is kind of the active defense. Let's say simple endgame, king and pawn versus king and pawn. Why we hold? Because we keep a position. The king can't really support the pass pawn to be promoted. This is kind of you restrict the king. Okay, guys, here, that is the scenario, is very good. Yeah, queen e2 is the move making draw. If you take queen c3, is the same like to the game. And after king g5, you can immediately lock. But you can also play this move to make him tricky. You can see if here, check here and now, you can win the game. White king is trapped. So, and kind of white can't make progress. You can see if queen is trying here, check and mate. So white can't really make progress, and this is a position of the line. I mean, white has extra pawns, but they can make progress. They still can try this, but now you can take it because now you, let me see how that was. You should be able, or maybe we still don't take it. I don't remember now. Huh? I don't like to use the engine, so but looks like we can take it, huh? No, I'm pretty sure we can take it. This, but now maybe not check, huh, guys? Maybe because check he improved too much. Correct? So we should find some move with the queen here. Maybe queen should go on this diagonal or on this one. To not really allow him to penetrate. Or also to attack this pawn. No, but this will happen like to the game, yeah? Once queens come here, that's... No, but no, here we are good, yeah? Here is perfect. No, it's not perfect. Yeah, once kings penetrate, guys, we never can make it. Okay. You see, I don't remember now. I remember that here it's a draw, and then engine was giving almost 3 zeros immediately. No, I mean queen e2, c4. No, I'm almost sure we have to take just here. I don't remember where queen should go. Let's see, I have many answers. Queen g4 to get a pass pawn. Yeah, guys, maybe you're right. You see, I told you I don't really remember. But this is the point. You see, we don't really need to remember. We just need to know because it's difficult. Yeah, I see what is your point to have somewhere queen g4 to eventually trade the queens and we get a pass pawn. My point was that you have to know the conceptions. Conceptions is don't allow opponent to improve his pieces. King to penetrate. Remember, in the endgames, we are talking about king penetration in any endgames. Okay? Okay, guys, thank you. So, no more queen endgames. I think you got the conceptions in general. If you are the better side, remember, king activity in any endgame, but when you are defending side, because the topic today is you are defending, prevent opponent to improve the king and don't be greedy. Okay, active defense guidance means usually we lose some material to get our pieces active. Don't forget, since the beginning of the game, guys, we're also talking restrict opponent pieces too. So in the end game, you like to restrict opponent pieces. That clear? Okay, now I like to go one very interesting end game. I will go one topic you heard about, but I expect you don't really work about it. And I really love it. So I will start with the most simple one. Now we're going to pawn endgame, guys. Why jump so much my mouse? I should be more careful when I push. Okay. So here, just a second, I will go immediately to the endgame. This is the position. So white has extra pawn. Tough question. How black can fold? I will let you think that's very interesting. If you don't know the idea, it's very difficult to find. And I used this idea a few times. Most of the time, you don't use it, and that's why you are not considered. But let's try to see. Maybe you can prove me wrong. And game was completely winning for white, but black can fold. I'm going to get more water. Take your time. Okay, I'm here. Still no answer. So, okay. I know it's tough. Kind of power endgames are relatively tough because no other pieces to calculate about. Okay, Jim, and what's your idea next? I play king before. And why is the fortress? Explain me. Yeah, go, let's say king b3, king b4, king a4. How you. I see you're close, but okay, John, good. Guys, what is the idea? Can you tell me in the end? I'm trying to penetrate all the way where e7, f8, g7 if possible. Jack, I'm going king to b3, for example. Guys, I'm drinking my coffee. You may be drinking your drinks because here it's lunchtime. In Europe, it's evening time, huh? Jamie, that's not a draw. You calculated poorly. Uh, Black wins, sorry, white wins somehow. Because you have also H pawn, not only F, and you are not stalemate, Jamie, okay? But how you block me? I go king c3, jump, king b3, king d5, king c3. Yes. Okay, guys, let's go. F4 is the great idea, making draw. Why? You're going to see very beautiful Some of you found this move, but can't really explain me why this move makes draw, because white king can't penetrate. You're going to see why. So, kind of, we need to keep a position. We cannot go straight to position because the queen, yeah? So, diagonal position, diagonal position. And that is the trick, guys. We cannot keep a position anymore, but opponent can't get the position because of stalemate. And due to that, we can hold. Because now he moves away, we can keep the position. And the king cannot penetrate. So we're using the stalemate idea to fold. This is a common defensive idea in many endgames. Don't forget, king and the side pawn versus queen, it's a draw if the pawn is advanced because of stalemate. King and a pawn versus king, it's a draw because of stalemate. So there are many drawish endgame. Rook and a bishop versus rook, often it's a draw because of stalemate idea. So there are many rook, pawn and a long bishop, long color side pawn, it's also draw versus king because of stalemate ideas. So how you see stalemate idea is very common, like a defensive idea. Yes, Jim, it's all the time stalemate. Okay, let's come back the other ways. If white tries something else, just to see, you have to keep the opposition. Sorry. This, yeah, that was the game. But let's say he tried king b3. You're still keeping the position, diagonal position, yeah? And now king k4 could be one idea tricky because we can't keep the position. And now you have to find a key square after each one white can get the position. So that's why you have to go there. You see, white can get the position. If you go here, white will get the position. You're going to lose, guys. I believe you know that in the pawn endgame, we are talking about the position, yeah? So that's why this is the key square. And now no position, now you're waiting here. If here a position, if here a position, if here a position, and then he could try, but in the end, opposition, 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 don't get the straight opposition because he can break through, create a pass pawn. Diagonal opposition, and that is the trick. We can't keep any more opposition, but now the opponent can get the opposition due to the stalemate, and this is a positional draw. We kind of building the fortress due to the stalemate, and king can't penetrate. Like in the queen endgame, the both queen endgame we had, you have to think when you are defending side. This is the active defense, guys, kind of a body check, especially in the pawn endgame, the king preventing opponent king. That clear? You have questions? I know you're rushing, but I told you, still we are in the pawn endgame, and I have at least 10 examples in the rook endgame. So, another endgame I really love about, this is one very old play between Chigorin and Tarash, guys, I don't know, 100 years ago, more. So, guys, how you see, study the old games too. They're very interesting position. So, let's say we get this endgame. Black are pushing. And looks like winning. And black won. But what white missed? Let's go to see. So how you see, kind of Zugzwang is coming here. Okay, now the question is, how are you going to defend for white? How white can make draw this endgame? The three Chigorin missed. And I had exactly the same endgame between other players. I didn't use it for today, but I have another examples with exactly the same endgame between other players later occur. That's very interesting. Some endgame guys occur exactly the same. Okay, they're playing millions of games in chess. You just need to find them. Okay, Jim, I see you working on endgames. By the way, from where you are? That is the true, yes. That's how he called this endgame. He missed to fold, but eventually. And there it's a game he did fold later. but I decided to use this because the both players are super famous, yeah? Chigorin and Taras. Both of them played the World Championship matches in their time. Frederick, very good. Okay, guys, I see there are two players who know this endgame. Yes, I will give hints for the others. White can hold using the stalemate ideas. Somehow white can create a cage, like in the previous example, and due to this cage, kind of the door is all the time locked, and black king can penetrate, like in the previous example. Yes, Jamie, never mind. Yeah, Jamie, if h5, Jeff h6. h5, h6, and black king outflanking the white king and winning the pawns. So, yes, Frederick, correct. We have to create the cage for the king, kind of like a cage, and you enter with the king in the cage, and due to that, black king can't enter because of stalemate. Yeah, kind of we lock the door, something like that. Yeah. So, how you see stalemate idea? It's a common idea, just you don't really use it, and not searching for such ideas. I had endgames I hold because of stalemate. Today I'm not using my examples, but tomorrow I will give you my example, my own games I will. Jamie, you're starting wrong. You have to change the move order because h5 is coming. Instead of h6, h5, and black wins. Do you see now? Yes. Okay, guys, let's go. Guys, I give you 30 more seconds to tell me about what you're thinking. I see we're short of time, and I told you I have so many examples I like to show later about the rook endgames. And not only rook, but we will not have time for others. 10 more seconds. Vladimir, what about king e5? Okay, Fabian, correct. Yes, Vladimir, the idea is correct, just you're doing in the wrong way because, okay. Yes, guys, that is the idea. In the game, he took that was easy. This move doesn't work because of h5. That's why we have to start first king g4 and after king's coming g6. And now h5 we just take. And that is the trick after h6, king h5, and we're in the cage, lock the door, and opponent never can take the pawn or can try to penetrate because we are stalemate. Kind of we close the door and he can't enter, kind of like that. And we don't really care. He can try to go around, but we don't really care because we are always stalemate. So why then he doesn't take to g6 here? Because once he takes to g6, guys, this or maybe even king g5, we has contraplay. And if this, then we has contraplay because h6, and we also promote a queen and draw. So how you see stalemate idea, it's a common idea. Just you have to eventually think in this way. And if you don't really practice, you will not really try to use during the game these stalemate ideas. They're also very interesting, guys, stalemate in the middle game when we have queen rooks. That happen also relatively open because we can sacrifice all pieces with check eventually. Okay, let's go to the next end game. Okay. Black played this move. They had a winning way, but they missed it. Only white way was winning. So now, how white can fold? That's the question. I mean, I think black took decision because they thought their pawn is more close to promotion. But this is kind of a blunder. Now white can fold. This is the last example, guys, about pawn endgames. And then we're going rook endgame, but we has half an hour. And we will not go to the other endgames I prepared, more complicated. With different pieces, bishop, knights. Wait. Frederick, I'm in the pawn endgame. How it has rooks? Ah, you mean that's king instead of heir. Instead of rook, it's a cake, like king, yes? And then what next? I go to take on a to the pawn, maybe? Or I can try to stack you with king to f7. Let's say king f6, king d6, king g7, king e7, king h7, king f7. Okay, guys, again, white found a way to make stalemate their cell. I will show because I told you I like to go to rook endgame. They're the most common endgames, and that's why I will spend most time on them. Jamie, the idea is correct, just the move further. Guys, you have to start first with g4, like that, gaining a time. Otherwise, later, if you don't start with g4, later black will not waste time. They will just push their pass pawn, yeah? For example, if you go this, why I have to now touch here? I would just maybe push, for example. So that's why in the game he started with g4, if he likes simply to take and pass pawn. And now he went for this, but like that he gained time. And kind of they agreed draw, but we can see why they agreed draw. And draw. Stalemate. If black lock the white, maybe white can win. You see, sometimes, guys, you can make yourself a long stalemate. So very beautiful, yes, and stalemate. Okay, guys, I showed you something more unusual for the pawn endgame, especially because I know you know about the position. But stalemate, it's a very common idea, guys. Almost in any endgame you can use it. I told you, rook versus bishop, stalemate, it's a common idea to fold. Rook and bishop versus rook. Even king and pawn versus queen, the side pawn or bishop pawn could be drawn because of stalemate. So in many endgame, king and pawn versus king is drawn because of stalemate. So now I'm going, guys, to the rook endgames, and I like to start with the kind of most basic, most simple, and then we're going to the most difficult. Okay, whiter better, easy to see. How you will defense for black? Think about active defense. What does mean active defense? I tried to explain in the beginning of the class. What is one active defense? Yes, Kerry, very good, thank you. Your first time answering, yes. Okay, yes, everybody, thank you, guys, thank you, Björk, thank you, Jane. Yes, guys, A4, this is the active defense. Don't go passive. So A4, making draw almost immediately. The rook is getting active, you can see. And you can see white pieces are passive, they can make any progress. So, guys, how you see this is the active defense? We sack a pawn to improve all pieces and to make opponent pieces passive, and he cannot really make any progress, and soon they agree draw. I'm just showing you the game. This is the active defense. If you go passive, let's mention here, if you go passive, white will try to bring king maybe to a4. If you now try to trade, I will go this, I mean white. Maybe later outside pass pawn in the pawn endgame, maybe still trying to bring the king first. And it's very difficult. Passive defense guys usually lose, remember. White will play here, you can wait, maybe they can go something like that, getting active later, still going to win the pawn for sure. Okay, let's go to the next example. This is, yeah, it seems natural, but many players doesn't like to lose a pawn. That is the point. I can show thousands of examples. You suck a pawn, you make draw, but they didn't suck a pawn and they didn't make draw. So next, it's the most classical rook endgame. So most classical rook endgame guys occur in this situation. So now we have very famous 3 versus 3 on the side and a pass pawn on the side. How black should hold? This is the most common endgame and one of the basic you have to study in the rook endgame. What is the right strategy to play to hold this type of endgame? So it's a black to move. What you're going to play for black? Okay, Björk, very good. The next, king up. Yes, guys, correct. No, rook has to go behind the pass pawn. Don't cut the king, then white are winning. Guys, in the rook endgame, doesn't matter you're the better side or defending side, rook is active when it's behind the pass pawn. So rook c2, this is losing position. That's why we have to check and rook behind the pawn. So here white has a choice to play this or to do check. In the game they played this. I can show if they check here. That's not the game. We improve the king. I'm just showing you some analysis. You see active king. And you can see this is now easy though. So that's why he played rook to d4. So now, guys, this is a typical position. Remember, in these end games, most of the players, not so strong, are trying to bring this king in general, to bring the king to fight against this pawn. What you have to know, guys, is we can't prevent opponent to promote a queen. That's very difficult to understand. We can't prevent white to promote a queen, but then how we make draw if we can't prevent him to promote a queen? That is the point. We have to sacrifice our rook in the latest possible moment, guys. You're going to see. Remember, if he tries to bring the king to support the pass pawn, then usually we're creating a pass pawn on the opposite side of the opponent's pass pawn. And that's how we get active defense. We're creating a pass pawn. If he likes to make progress, yes, we take, we bring the rook, and we bring the king, yeah. And draw. You can see why it's a draw. Yeah, this is the most common way how we hold in the rook endgame, guys, with the pawn last. Remember, usually you can't prevent opponent to promote a queen if he wants. But if he bring the king to support the pass pawn, only way for him to try to promote his extra pawn, his pass pawn, then we creating a pass pawn on the opposite side of his pass pawn. And we sacrifice the rook in the latest possible moment. And now his king is too far away, you can see. He has too far away. to support the rook, yes? And it's a draw. This is the most common way. Remember, 4 versus 3, it's a theoretical draw endgame, but that's not only the point that you know it's a theory, you should also know how to make it. There are thousands of games in this position, maybe even millions, 3 versus 3 and 1 pawn on the side. Also, even very good grandmaster love this endgame. Sometimes it also depends how is the pawn structure and where to improve the king to create a pass pawn. But in general, there is no way to prevent opponent to promote a queen. Is that clear now? So I like to go to very basic games from the World Championship match between Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi and Carlsen and Caruana. Why? You're going to see very briefly. I will just show you. We're going to spend just 2 minutes in both games. Here, you see Carlsen was pushing with white. Black king is weak. How black can hold? Easy. They giving the material extra, but their king is weak, and they entering to easy draw game with pawn less. The pawn is ending, and this is easy draw. I believe you could hold, doesn't matter your pawn less, but how you see, guys, it's very important to know which endgames are draw and eventually how to make it. That's why he give his extra material. But okay, he has to, otherwise he's in trouble if he don't play this. His king is too weak. And this is the common way. Entering to Winnish drawing endgame doesn't matter if he has material less. That was the second game between Carlsen and Nepo in their match. And now I like to show one game from the World Championship match between Caruana and Carlsen again. What was this game? This one. So they play, and now let's go to see where is my diagram. So we're here, yeah. Okay, Carlsen looks slightly active with black pieces, but here he kind of made mistake, but it's still drawish endgame, but complicated. You can see that become a mistake, and maybe he misunderstood this move. Now it's not so easy for black how to defend anymore. I will give you a chance. Maybe you know this from the World Championship match between Carlsen and Caruana. How you gonna defend for black? If you follow engine, according engine, black made mistake with their next move. But that's leading immediately to law. You see, it's tricky, guys, when you work with engines, because engine doesn't like to lose material. But humans know that it's easy draw, I mean theoretical draw, and he just going there and he knows he'll make it with 2 seconds on the clock because he knows how to do it without thinking here, yeah? But engine is afraid to lose material. So how Carlsen hold here? Guys, quickly, I like to go to the complicated endgames later. Okay, if we has 1, 2 example, I can show tomorrow. In the beginning, maybe. Guys, you have 15 seconds to tell me about what you're thinking, and I'm almost sure you saw the game maybe before from the World Championship match, but you don't remember. Okay, I know here Carlsen was a little bit nervous because I watched the video, but that's why he's good. He immediately understood he made mistake and he switched the game immediately to theoretical Russian game. Okay, guys, this move basically it's losing a pawn, but leading to theoretical Russian game. You're going to see why. Jamie, he takes rook a7. Okay, I just like to show. Maybe or immediately rook a7. Yeah, that's what, sorry, Jamie. Guys, there was such a move in some of the lines, yeah? Rook a7. And not so easy for black rook to do. Kind of because these pawns can get very dangerous, yeah? You can see these pawns here can get dangerous too. Okay, so he immediately went for a draw. This move losing a pawn, but it's a draw. We don't care that we lose a pawn, and nobody cares that we lose a pawn. It's easy draw, and they immediately agree draw. But the engine doesn't like it. Immediately give all mistake from 3 zeros giving to 080, for example. And but it's a draw. They just agree draw. How you see, guys, it's very important to know the European games, theoretical. And now another famous game between Alan and Carson. Again, they got this endgame. Carson was with black pushing. And kind of they made some repetition. And here he went for this. And now look, basically this move is leading to theoretical duration game. Alan immediately went for theoretical duration game. Doesn't matter losing a pawn. And draw. Cut the king. And this is a theoretical draw. Carson doesn't really try anything. Okay, I told you usually black can try to bring the king here to support the pass pawn. But in the meantime, we can create a pass pawn and getting a draw. Carson doesn't really try, and finally they soon agree draw. Okay, how you can see, guys, knowing the end games, it's helping you eventually to make decision how to defend. That's why I'm telling you, if you study end games, always first study the old theoretical drawish end game. That's very important to know, because when you're the defending side, you know, oh, that's it's a draw. Can I go to that position? Can I reach them? If you're the better side, the same. I know that it's a draw. I have to try to avoid it. That's clear? Okay, now let's go to one end game. Very interesting, and I love this example. You're going to understand why. So we'll start from here. Now white has a choice. Which pawn are you going to take and why? This is the first question. Guys, if you could, maybe 2 minutes I will give you, because we are short of time. Maybe 3. Take your time. It's never easy. Looks easy, but it's never easy. White has a pleasant choice, yeah? That's always nice. You have a choice. What pawn to take? I'm listening, guys. Tough question. I know you are calculating move. That's why it's tough for you. I mean, we kind of always need to calculate, but that kind of was the game. King d7. Okay, Jim. Okay, Jamie. Why you mean to lose? I don't understand, Jamie. White are winning. They win a pawn and they still have better position. Vladimir, how you consider that it's a draw? Okay, Jamie, we can lose any single game if we blunder. Now, we don't watch the results, okay? Okay, guys. The truth in both continuation, maybe white are winning, doesn't matter which pawn they take. But the easiest win is this. He didn't play this. Let's try to see why. He has to go this, otherwise two rooks on the 7 rank. And now you just go there. I'm just showing you. Sorry. This is the precise way. Otherwise, rook behind the pass pawn. And this is winning endgame. Because once he comes to take the pawn, we are kind of too fast. You can see with the flex. I'm just showing you. We know that kind of this is winning, something like that. For example, I mean, maybe white don't need to push the pawn so fast. They can maybe keep the pawn on h6 and here bring the king. But that's not so important. White has active rook behind the pass pawn, and black has passive rook, always lose the game. Is that clear? That's why that was easy decision without so much calculation that white has to be winning because of the active rook. So instead of this, remember in the rook endgames, rook is active when it's behind the pass pawn. So he took there what still looks winning. But first of all, not yet pass pawn and game continue. Now look how black defended well. Don't allow rook to penetrate. And kind of white played a little bit premature. You can see white doesn't really try anything. They just like to be solid. But guys, when you are better, usually you have to concentrate. You have to focus on what you want. Otherwise, how are you going to convert your advantage when you are better and you think what opponents want? Opponent doesn't want anything. That's why you are better, because your pieces are superior than the opponent pieces. You have to understand this. So black are doing well. And white missed the way maybe to lose somewhere. And now kind of finally white are trying to go to create a pass pawn. Passive defense, yeah. Protecting the pawn. Now what you play for white here? Play for white. Now the game becomes sharp. Because of the wrong decision ago, white didn't create a pass pawn, they didn't get the active rook. That's often happened. We understood we missed to win, and then we're still trying to win in drawish endgame. Because from winning we become to drawish, and then we push, and we even lose late. Because we are very frustrated. So what white will play here? Okay, Frederick, king b4. What about others? Guys, be decisive. We have 15 minutes left. Jamie, I like to play king before king a4, not to waste time. So I don't know, you should calculate king e5, king b4, not king c4 maybe. Maybe both, maybe both. Okay, guys, let's go in the game. White should just go for a draw. I think that's leading to a draw, or first h5 and next going king f5, king g6. White went passive from before. They even lost the game after this move. Passive defense always lose, and now they're losing. Whiter, sorry, blacker fast. So how you see, don't go passive defense. That's my point. Okay, he missed to win earlier, easy because he didn't create pass pawn, didn't make active rook behind the pass pawn. How you see, I still like to come back to beginning position. You see, guys, for you it's more difficult in general because you like to calculate and to see the final result. But I told you that is difficult, guys. When you calculate, you should try to evaluate the position often, and that is not so difficult to figure out that now we'll get the rook behind the pass pawn. And once we have rook behind the pass pawn, that means we have active rook versus passive. That means passive defense always lose, white has to be winning. It's very difficult to calculate now next 20 moves, yeah, because opponent can play every single piece. But you can evaluate, I have active rook, I have pass pawn, so I have to be winning. You understand how that works? Okay. Okay, Fabian. So let's go to the next one. Another look Endgame. In the time travel, I know they was in the time travel. They made many mistakes. Here in this easy Endgame, black made a mistake. They went for passive defense. Rook b3, it's a passive defense. That was the game. Any move make easy draw. You can see this, you can kind of shake the hands. Extra pawn, but even double, nothing serious. So instead of this, something like that, passive defense. Remember, passive defense always is. So we're gonna play for black later. So white are doing now everything correct. And here white made mistake. They went for f6. How black should hold after this move? Okay, Frederick. Frederick, why always for instead of king you typing rook? Something wrong? Okay, I understand. Okay, king g7, king g6, rook g7. You are French. Okay, got it now. No, I understand you mean king, but kind of okay. Thank you, Frederick. So you're from France or Canada? Okay. Guys, what you play for black? Okay, guys, soon we'll finish. I like to make like conclusion while you're thinking. Active defense, this means don't be afraid to lose material. Otherwise, you'll be passive defense if you don't lose material. You just attack to not lose material. Improve own pieces. Own pieces should attack, and not only should attack, should prevent opponent pieces to penetrate or to become active. Okay, Jamie. Okay, Bjork. Very good. Yes, guys. King g6. Of course, king should come. Okay, now what? Here in the game, black made mistake. What you play for black? So both players made many mistakes in time travel. Frederick, that was the game. That's mistake because wasting of time. No, no, that's fine. That's most obvious move. That was the game. Uh, okay, guys, what you play for black and why? Katie, rook b6. Frederick, rook b6. Frederick, that is a passive defense, kind of. Guys, passive defense, that's mean, Jim, that's mistake. That was the game. Guys, passive defense is when you are focused on what opponents want in general. Active defense, and where you are thinking what I want. So now black has a pass pawn. I want to create a pass pawn. I want to, once I create a pass pawn, to push it, to promote it. So in the game, that was mistake, blunder. Now white are winning after this move. Because wasting of time, why not king d4, king here, king c3? Why you have to go king d5, rook b6, king c4? And later you again need to go king c3, for example. You see, you wasted a full template. That's why black are losing. So here, white was winning easy if they just start to push pawns and pawn. And they win easy. But instead of this, white was greedy and they played rook b7. Why white has to protect this pawn? White wasted time. Anyway, they can't promote this pawn now. And now black had the time and now it's a draw. Again, you're going to see. You see, both players made a lot of mistake in time travel. And now black are on time to hold this endgame. And they agree draw. So, how you see, both players made many mistakes because they was afraid to not lose pawn to tempting. Guys, you have to focus on what you want all the time when you are the defending side, okay? So how you see complicated endgame, white missed to win, but that often happens, especially when we're in time trouble. But basically, black give them chance to win once here. They went king d5, wasting a time, instead of immediately king d4. And why white wasted time, nobody knows. Because this pawn anyway cannot go for queen. They just needed somehow to push the pawns and they're again winning, because now they don't waste time. White didn't waste time to play rook b7. One tempi was important. Black lose tempi, later white lose tempi, and that's why they went for a draw. Okay, guys, let's go to the next one. Guys, I cannot move here. Can you see? This one. Here, one endgame I was watching online, and most of the time I'm watching online, and then once I like some game, I'm going to take that game to put in my files. So here, white looks better, more active. How you gonna defend for black? Black to move. Guys, what is active defense? Guys, remember, don't calculate moves immediately. Always questions, answers to be on the right direction from beginning. What we have? Rook endgame. What is important in endgame? Pass pawn, king activity, active rook, when the rook is active, stuff like that. And after that, you have to start to think moves, not immediately. Remember this. Okay, Frederick. Okay, Vladimir, that was the game and you losing. That was the game. And you're gonna see black lose immediately after this move because this is a passive defense. Why it's a passive? Can you guess? Because you don't like to lose material to improve on pieces. Okay, guys, let's go. 2 answers. I'm showing you the game. F5 passive defense. You don't improve on pieces. You improve opponent pieces. You improve only white pieces, and you are too soon. You're going to lose some material. Okay, white repeat c4, c5. It's coming, and she just played it like that, but she could win much faster. And I don't know. Rook d6 was winning much easier earlier. Rook f5 wins the pawn, and easy win. So, how you see black was passive defense all the time. Guys, passive defense, it's when you not losing material and you're keeping your pieces to defense. Only move easy draw was just rook d1, rook takes, king somewhere, not so important, and that it's easy draw. You're just starting to attack the pawns, and he cannot really make any progress. She basically, and this is active defense, make a draw. Rook is active, rook is behind the pass pawn. And guys, I told you usually you can do whatever you want, guys. You don't really care, yeah? You're gonna take sometime. You can see this is active defense. You should find the moment to improve the rook. Otherwise, you're going to lose. And I won thousands of games like that with players 22, 21, 100, because you don't like to lose material, guys. But passive defense always lose. Is that clear now? You understand? So, rook d1, f5, game is over immediately. You can check with engine 2 if you want. Rook d1 folds, okay? Rook d1 really folds immediately. And that's it's a relatively easy draw. Engines give all the time around 3-0. The truth is white really can make defense because progress, because pawns are handling. Okay, guys, this is for today. We have no time for another examples. So tomorrow I will show you from my own games. I hope you like it. I try to kind of give you a few systemize some rook, pawn, queen, these theoretical end games to understand. But remember, active defense, it's when you are not allowing opponent to improve pieces. Okay, guys, thank you for coming. Have a good night.